The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
WCLPLAW.org is the group that I always see constantly fighting the state when trying to stomp over people's constitutional rights. And that's who Dean Broyles is with, the lawyer. Tell us about your organization, Dean, and the types of things you see. Then we'll go back to Pastor Dave Jones and that one point he was making about the police officer.
Well, we at the Western Center for Law and Policy generally fight for faith, family, and freedom. We're a First Amendment law firm, and we do civil litigation and some policy work in this area. And we've been in existence for 2.5 years, although I've been doing this kind of work pro bono on behalf of Christians everywhere for the last 14 years. So we're based here on the West Coast, but we're getting cases all over the United States at this point.
And you see a lot of this, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. We see this happening every day, and thank God that there's an army of Christian attorneys and conservative attorneys out there to fight these types of cases. There are several thousand attorneys that have been trained all over the United States to fight these types of cases. And
I've never seen you lose, because I see these reports all the time, when people fight. But as you said, most people just roll over. I mean, this is totally un-American, incredibly unpopular. It's wrong. Pastor Dave Jones, go back to the police officer story.
Well, after this had occurred, a police officer that I was acquainted with saw me, and he just congratulated us on our victory and for our stand in that. And then he asked me if I thought this was an intrusion upon our rights or religious freedom. And I said, well, of course it was, absolutely. And then he explained to me, he said, as a police officer, when they get these calls, they normally go through dispatch. It would not have even made it through dispatch in this case. It was weeks prior. And by the way, the complaint wasn't from a neighbor. We only have 2 neighbors. We have 268 feet of private driveway to 3 homes, and we paid for the paving and maintenance of that road. And then at the end of 268 feet, we have over 2 acres of property ourselves. We park all of our cars on our property, and every now and then somebody is parked in that private driveway area. But the point is that when he told me that, this shouldn't have even gotten out of dispatch, but somebody else got a hold of this thing, and he said, we have gone out on parking, citation complaints, and you just tell the person to repark and everything's fine, no ticket is given. This was weeks later that they showed up, and the only purpose they showed up was to cite us for religious assembly. It was never discussed in 6 conversations that we had with them. As we tried to reason with them that this was just a Bible study, they never brought up parking. They only told us we were wrong with the code, and we had to stop in our Bible study.
Let me ask Dean Broyles a question, because, again, I just see this in the newspaper here and there every week or so, and have experienced it myself here in Austin with my grandparents with some brush in a creek behind their house that wasn't even their property. Dealing with these zoning boards, we see a trend here where they love persecuting Christians and conservatives, that it's a relish. I mean, what type of individuals are these from your experience that really are that anti-American? Because even if I disagree with somebody and hated them, I mean, if they were doing, some kind of weird animus thing in their backyard, that's their right to do it. Why do they hate Christians?
Well, that's a very good question, and that's a question we've been asking ourselves in this case. Is this a rogue, zoning person just out to get Christians, or is it a departmental issue that there's kind of, across the board animus against Christians? And it's really hard to tell. I mean, certainly at the end of the day, the county did the right thing, and the chief administrative officer apologized and backed down and has promised to, investigate this properly. But sometimes it's hard to know. I mean, generally across the United States and the media and other places, we see a hostility towards Christianity in general, and we see a hostility towards the name of Jesus in particular. And so that definitely is kind of culture-wide on a lot of fronts. And we suspect that may be at issue here, but it's really hard to pin down as far as what the motivations of the individuals were in this case.
Well, they would never think of, harassing some other religious group unless it's mainline big three religions, and it seems like those are open season. Just absolutely amazing. Well, I'm glad that this case has been concluded. Are you guys thinking about any litigation, or this is dropped?
No, at this point, if the county follows through on the very strong commitments that they've made, certainly litigation will not be required. And that's one of the amazing things about this case is because of the media outrage and the amount of individuals who are emailing and writing and calling the county.
Hold on. Got a break.